Welcome everybody to Spitball Cinema. I'm David,
I'm Scott.
and Shane's out on a special assignment again.
Again.
We wish him well. It's one of those assignments that we really haven't heard a lot from him.
Asshole.
By request from a lot of people who really love her opinions and stuff, we got the lovely
Stacy, Scott's sister.
That's right.
Today we're going to be talking about Mary Poppins.
Oh.
1964, the Walt Disney
Gemini,
classic.
Mary Poppins.
Oh,
So, Stace, tell us a little bit about Mary Poppins, what you remember, stuff like that.
yeah. Just like, when did you first watch it?
I was really little, and Scott and our Aunt Nora had a vinyl of Mary Poppins,
Oh,
of
wow.
all the songs, and it was one of those albums that you could open, and it had all like pictures and scenes from the movie and stuff.
Oh,
And
cool.
so we were really little when we were introduced to it, but I love. There's not a scene in that movie that I don't love.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, just all the imagery of the banks of the street with the pink trees and Admiral Boom,
Oh, yeah.
and
That Admiral, as I was rewatching that the other day, I'd have kicked that out with asshole's ass. I'd have shoved a cannonball up his ass.
it shook everything in their house.
I mean, every time I would have said, "You old bastard, I'm going to shove this up your ass if you don't stop." I mean,
Can somebody check on Admiral Boom? Is he okay?
Yeah.
He needs some help.
he shooting a freaking cannon off.
Did he
you know?
get into Mary Poppins' bag again?
Yeah, I was just like, man.
But I remember, just the opening credits, just seeing her like up in the clouds, putting her makeup on, and she's.
How do you put makeup on in the clouds?
Well,
I never
she had
did
a
understand
compact, and she was powdering her face,
Yeah,
and
don't question.
And it was
you
so
think Mary
cool.
Poppins would have put her shit on before she came flying in the air? I mean,
where did she come from? I don't know. But I remember just the credits and her put and then they pan down to their house,
Yeah.
and then of course Dick Van Dyke
Oh,
as Bert. I mean, I can't think of anybody that could do it better. And
well, Julie Andrews and him, they weren't Walt Disney's first choice.
really?
You know who he wanted to play at first? Who was suggested?
who?
Betty Davis and Cary Grant.
Oh wow!
Can you imagine
That
Betty?
would have been-
Can you imagine Betty Davis? Hello, Jane.
Michael, walk into
Kids, come in here.
Clean
They're
that
gonna wash
damn-
my back.
clean the damn room. What a dump!
And then Cary Grant would have come in, hello, Mary, Mary, Mary.
That would have been
Yeah.
straight.
But
yeah.
they were known big stars and stuff, and so Walt Disney was thinking about that.
He went to a Broadway play that Julie Andrews was in.
Right. Well, see,
wow.
somebody else had seen her on the Ed Sullivan Show.
And then he went and
And-
saw her.
Well, and they knew that Walt Disney wouldn't listen to anybody about casting his films. He was the one who had to come up with. But I don't know if it was the Sherman brothers that saw her on that, or one of his assistants or something. So they devised a plan to get Walt Disney tickets to Bye Bye Birdie, which Julie Andrews was doing.
Wow.
Had him go to it, and he requested to see her after the show because as he was watching, he knew that
with her voice.
she was the one that he wanted for Mary Poppins.
Yeah. I mean, she'd been singing since she was 12, 13. She sang in front of the King of England.
Yeah.
Her at that young of age, and there's even video out there of her singing.
Well, it wouldn't be the queen. King would be the queen.
I thought it was the king.
No, because the queen was Elizabeth. Back when she was little.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
Queen
that's right.
Elizabeth was there for what?
I thought it was the king. Okay, well,
There
whatever.
hasn't been a king of England.
Okay, I'm not good at my British history.
What the hell? Let me give him Queen Elizabeth.
Sorry, Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah. So, and then Dick Van Dyke, they had seen him in different things, and of course he was popular on Dick Van Dyke Show and all that stuff, you know.
But he and Dick Van Dyke, I mean, as of this recording, he just turned 99 years old.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And he's still up and moving and
Yeah,
dancing.
He was like on a runway for some movie or something like that just a couple weeks ago.
Well, remember when they had that tribute to Mary Poppins?
Yeah.
How old was he then? He came out and did a little bit of the dance.
I think he was 90.
Yeah, he came out and did that.
And did the step in time
and
dance.
did the step in time dance, and everybody went nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 90 years old, and he still was jumping like he did.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, not, you know, of course, not as great as he was back then. But
Right, but he still did it.
For 90-some years old, he still did it. Everybody just
Dude,
went
he must
crazy.
have got like a good dose of adrenochrome.
Just-
He did.
Something.
Well, and he just won. He just won recently, I think last year, an Emmy for his role on Days of Our Lives.
Wow.
He came in and played.
He
a
was
role.
on Days of Our
He
Lives?
played John Black's long lost father.
You're kidding.
No, and he won an Emmy for that.
Did they do Step in Time?
No, but he's
Hey, Doc.
no, but
Hey, Doc, watch this. Step in Time. Step
but
in Time.
him, and Bill Hayes and Susan Hayes did a song
On
on the show. Yeah, it was
Wow.
really good. It was really.
You know, I
really
remember watching the Dick Van Dyke Show all the time.
Oh my
when I was a
gosh,
kid, the
yeah.
reruns and
Loved
stuff.
it.
good. Mhm.
And you know, he'd come over and trip over. He was so limber, and you know, but he said in this. I watched a documentary on the making of it, and he said that he really wasn't a big dancer back then, and he said I kind of faked it when he went
Yeah.
to America. But that guy could move. You
Yeah,
know?
he always, in my mind, and I know this is off topic a little bit, but in my mind, I always could picture him as the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, just
Oh,
by the
God,
way he
yeah.
moves
Oh, yeah.
and,
Big time.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But him as Bert, I thought was great because he could sing. He did the British accent. I thought really
Oh
well.
yeah, big time.
Yeah.
And I just remember just all the fantasy part of Mary Poppins. You know, what kid wouldn't want Mary Poppins to come in and you can snap your fingers and your room will clean itself? You know, I love that part.
Oh yeah.
And then but Mary Poppins wasn't. She wasn't she was pretty cross. She was pretty stern.
Well, in the book, she's a no nonsense.
And Julie Andrews kind of played it that way. You know, she wasn't
They had to because was it PJ Travelers? Is that her name? PJ?
Travers, yeah.
Travers.
Mhm.
When she had problems with, they were wanting to make Mary Poppins too affectionate.
Affectionate,
She
yeah.
wanted her to be more strict, so they did make her. But Walt Disney needed her to be lovable.
Yeah.
You know, with the kids, so they had to come to a kind of an agreement.
Yeah. And you know, and then
It worked.
Mr. Banks,
Is it PJ Travers?
PJ Travers,
PJ.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, Mr. Banks, what was his David Tomlinson?
Mm-hmm.
I thought he played him really well, you know, and
Did he ever do anything else that we might
he did
know?
another Disney movie.
Broomsticks.
He did Bed Knobs and
Yes,
Broomsticks?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then the little girl and the little boy that played Jane and Michael, they were in another movie together too. But I can't remember.
I think that's
the
how
name.
Disney cast him.
Maybe,
from that,
yeah.
You know.
But you know,
wow.
just to
cool.
I love the little kids in that movie because they were so sweet, and especially Michael. He was, you know, he just had this face and the sweetness about him. And I just read not too long ago that he passed away when he was 21 years old.
Really?
Oh, man.
He went to, I believe, India with his parents, and he caught hepatitis, which turned into pancreatitis. And it killed him, and he was only 21. So
Where the hell was Mary Poppins in?
right?
Yeah, I mean, where was her in that spoonful of sugar?
Yeah. So you know, it's sad.
Too much sugar.
Now when I watch it, knowing that he didn't even,
Oh, man.
he didn't even
yeah.
enjoy his life.
Well,
It
it's
was
like
short.
you want to tear up every time you see him.
I do. Every time I see him, I'm just like, oh, this poor kid. You
And
know.
then when I was rewatching it the other night,
Wow.
I didn't realize that Elsa Lancaster was in that at the very beginning. She was Katie Nana.
Katie Nana. Mhm.
And, you know, if those of you that don't know who she is, she played the Bride of Frankenstein in the original
Wow.
30-some movie, The
Mhm,
Bride of Frankenstein. And so to see, and
Which
she was also married to the great Charles Lawton. So
Yeah.
it was cool to see her in that.
She had a real small role.
Real small, yeah.
At first.
Smaller than you would think.
Yeah.
You know, for an actress like her, but she must have just loved. I think
Maybe she was like in the cafeteria.
Well, a lot of these people had grown up reading the books before Disney made it into. It was a beloved book, kind of like The Wizard of Oz.
It was a children's story,
and so that's how Disney found out about Mary Poppins. It was from his daughters were reading the books. He didn't know anything about it, and then they introduced him. They said, "Dad, you need to make this into a movie," and for 20 years he was trying to get the rights from PJ Travers for this, but she didn't. You know, she was very resistant to it because that was her baby.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So does that kind of go into Saving Mr. Banks?
It does.
So
It does.
It does.
Emma Thompson, right?
Emma Thompson plays PJ Travers, and Tom Hanks plays
Walt Disney.
And
I have never seen it, so if I ask questions, you know.
We'll probably.
We haven't gotten through Mary Poppins yet. Yeah. Can you wait just 5 seconds before we get into another movie? We're still talking about Mary Poppins.
During our prep meeting.
Yeah. Well, we haven't even gotten to any of the
we had a pre-wrap
scenes
that we were going to intertwine the two.
Yeah, but it's not time to intertwine it yet.
Oh my
we'll get to that. Yes, we'll get to that.
What the hell's the matter?
I'm going to go watch it, and then I'm probably coming
back. You should have watched it already.
I really liked the scene in Mary Poppins where they pop through the chalk picture. You know, as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
As a kid, I thought that was just phenomenal.
I was out like drawing.
It was so real.
With chalk on the sidewalk.
Yeah, it was like so real for them doing that, and then of course the animation kind of in there with Dick Van Dyke, the famous scene of him dancing with the penguins.
Yeah.
That was a really cool scene.
Which PJ Travers objected to. She did not want that scene. She didn't want any
animation, but
in there.
But that actually turned out to be a really good scene in the movie. But I think my favorite, if you ask me what my favorite scene and song is from the movie, it's when the bird lady, Jane Darnell, wasn't that her name? And Feed the Birds is one of my. It's actually on my Spotify.
See, that's one of my least favorite songs.
I love it. I love it. It's just, and in fact, Walt Disney loved it.
I'm sorry, it's not PJ Travers, it's PL Travers.
Oh, PL Travers.
PL Travers. I kept saying PJ, like she's in her PJs. PL Travers.
Like PJ Harvey.
That song, Feed the Birds, I read that Walt Disney, in the evening time, would be in his office and he would have the Sherman Brothers play it. He'd just go in and say, "Play it for me,"
because it showed the poor people, you know, what they were going through and stuff. He kind of
grew up poor.
Yeah, very poor.
Yeah,
his dad wasn't very nice to him either. You know, used to beat him and stuff. But
Walt Disney.
Yeah. Walt Disney got beat by his dad a few times, and they used to deliver newspapers and stuff in Kansas City when it was real cold and stuff. And he's got
those winters back then. But I read that Walt Disney wanted Jane Darnell to be in that role, but she turned him down. And at the time, she was living in a retirement home. And Walt Disney went and visited her and pleaded his case. And he really wanted her to be in it. And that was her last actual film.
You know what she was in?
Mm-mm.
If I'm correct on this, I think she was in The Grapes of Wrath.
Oh.
The original Grapes of Wrath. Wow. I believe she was not Mama Jode or yeah. I'm pretty sure it's her.
Wow. So she was retired and came out of it, but I also remember.
I didn't realize that was her.
Yeah, I also remember the famous Step in Time when they're dancing on the rooftops of London. And there's a scene in Mary Poppins when they first get up there, which was, Disney magic showing them, going up the fireplace. But Bert says to them, look at this. Have you ever seen anything like this? And it shows all the rooftops and all the lights on, and it was beautiful. And they had this beautiful music playing, and then all of a sudden, here comes all the other chimney sweeps up the chimneys, and then the step in time. I thought that was a great number.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite part of Mary Poppins was the step in time.
The step in time.
Up on the rooftop, and
And then and of course Uncle Albert. I love to laugh on the ceiling.
You know what? As I was watching that scene, as far as like acting in movies and stuff, that is very hard to do. Is to laugh about something like that.
Yeah,
that's harder than crying.
Yeah.
On film.
And he had to do it a lot in that.
And Dick Van Dyke and all of them, they all had it. I mean, that's not an easy. People take that for granted.
And I love that song. I love that song.
And Edwin was a very good actor.
Oh,
He
yeah.
did a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I love that song because it's funny and it does make you laugh. That song, but I think that kind of the real hero in the movie for me is not Mary Poppins, but it's Bert. And the reason why I say that is if you watch the movie, he's there for those kids kind of all throughout the movie, but in the scene where it's after the step in time and he's cleaning up his stuff out of the Banks' house, Mr. Banks he's just upset about Mary Poppins just turning his world upside down. And Bert, he sings a song and he says, you've got to grind. And he said childhood slips. And he tells him in song, when your little tykes are crying, you don't have time to dry their tears.
Yeah, because he's
so stern, a businessman.
He's all focused so much on his work. He doesn't take time.
He doesn't take time for the kids. And I think as a parent with grown children now, that really hits me now because it's true. It goes by so fast. And I think Bert really saved Mr. Banks by that song and that realization. I think.
Mary Poppins doesn't come to save the children.
Well, we'll get to that. Yeah.
She comes to save
Mr. Banks. She comes to save Mr. Banks.
Really?
That's right.
That's right. And here's another shout out to Glennis Johns that plays the mother. She just passed away this year in January.
She was 100.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep. And
how were they sniffing back then?
I don't know.
Yeah. She was a very cool actress and very, very pretty, very likable.
She came across in the movie, especially at first, kind of ditzy.
Yeah.
But really, there's certain scenes and certain lines where, when he tears up their advertisement, they call it, she's like, they're only trying to help. They're just children. She's trying to tell her husband, hey, they're just kids.
Well, how the hell would she know? She's always running off to these
that's
meetings.
true.
She doesn't even work. And she's bringing Mary Poppins in instead of taking care of her kids. She's out doing the women's suffrage and stuff.
When Scott and I were in school, we did a talent show where we sang.
Really?
The Jane and Michael were the advertisement wanted a nanny for two adults.
Where they read the letter and stuff.
Scott and I did that song
in front of everybody.
In front of the school.
Please tell me a videotape.
No, back then, no. I think I was only in second grade or first grade or something.
When we were in Baser. I was in 8th grade.
No.
It was Baser, wasn't it?
It was Linwood.
Oh, it was Linwood.
I was in second grade, Linwood.
Right.
Yeah. That was before Baser and Linwood merged.
Geek.
But because of that experience, I mean, I remember that word for word still.
Bet.
So Mary Poppins was really a big, I love it. And of course the finale, the let's go fly a kite. That's the most, because
that's my favorite.
It's very uplifting.
It's uplifting and Mr. Banks kind of realized, I need to put all this aside. I'm going to fix my kids' kite. I'm going to go have fun with my children.
Right.
And that's when Mary Poppins leaves because she knows everything is good.
And then some more notable actors that were in the film was Arthur Treacher. He
Yes.
started Arthur Treacher's fish and chips.
Yeah, he was the constable.
Arthur
Get out of here, really?
Yeah, he was the constable. At the end, he goes, as he's on the phone, he says, "Yes, sir, go fly a kite." And he goes, "No, sir, I didn't mean you personally."
Yeah.
You know what? I forgot to mention that the first of the movie, when Mary Poppins comes, this was also what was really crazy is all those nannies were lined up down the street wanting to take the position. And then, of course, Mary Poppins has the wind and they start flying away. They were all in black. They had their umbrellas. The wind was so strong it flipped them backwards and they were flying. You know, that was a neat scene.
And Disney, when he was trying to cast Julie Andrews at first, she said, "Well, Mr. Disney, I really can't do this," because she was pregnant. And he said, "That's okay, we'll wait." So he waited till she had the baby and stuff. And then, matter of fact, after she had the baby, P.L. Travers called her while she was in the hospital talking to her about that. And she says, "I'm a little groggy. I just had a baby." But I mean, it's very crazy how all this stuff, it's kind of like it's meant to be. All these things are fate.
Yeah.
It just is meant to be.
It's just a great classic Disney movie. You can have it on and with your kids watching it. You don't have to worry about anything.
It's when Disney was pure.
Yeah, when it was pure.
Before it turned corrupt by these people now.
Yeah, it's not the woke Disney.
Right, and I think Walt Disney would roll over in his grave if he knew some of the stuff that Disney has gotten into now.
I agree.
I mean, this was the pure Disney when they really cared about children and
and it was like,
because one thing about Walt Disney, he wouldn't let anybody be in a Disney film or anything that had been in a rated R movie. He wouldn't let them because he did not want that to tarnish the Disney image. He wanted them to be pure and very.
Yeah, he would be so upset.
Yeah, very.
When did he die?
Oh, I'm not. Let's see. It had to be in the
died
60s.
during the making of the Jungle Book.
Right.
Which had to have been 60
something.
66, 67?
He died of lung cancer, I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah, he died in 66.
Okay.
So 2 years after Mary Poppins was premiered, he passed away.
Yeah. Wow. So I mean, and see, nowadays we have everything that's, you have streaming on everything. You can pull up any movie you want, but, I remember back in the day that wasn't the case. And you remember I think Sunday evening they had the World of Disney, then they would play. ABC. And so if Mary Poppins was coming on, I'd watch it because I was so excited because I loved it, It was kind of like the Wizard of Oz. They used to bring it out once a year.
You remember anything about Mary Poppins, Dave?
Well, I remember seeing it very young, but I remember we saw it like on the weekends in Grandview. They would show free family movies at the library, and that's how I remember seeing it for the first time, was going to the library and seeing it, and I loved it. I loved the music.
So you were being cheap and went to the library.
That's right.
You went and bought your chalk so you could jump through the chalk picture?
Yeah, man, it never worked.
Never worked. Gotta have Mary Poppins magic.
I think I was drawing on the...
I think you were, Scott.
Of course you were.
I think I tried it a couple times.
You know what? When I was a kid, I was really... I'm telling you, but this is as a child, I was so mad and so shocked that Julie Andrews didn't have dark brown hair. When I saw her in something and she had the short, and I was like...
You like the Sound of Music?
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't look like Mary Poppins. As a little kid, because I'm a brunette, and I was like, what happened to her hair, And I just assumed that's what she looked like, but her voice.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Her songs in that movie and their voice, it's a shame that...
Well, just the pure physical part of it, watching her and Dick Van Dyke do all those dance moves.
Oh, I mean,
they had to practice like 8 hours a day. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine doing that for 8 hours a day?
Man, especially after she just had a baby.
Yeah, 8 hours a day or more. I mean...
I don't think people realize whenever you put on something like that, the hours that are put in on a film.
And all the people.
It's not a 9 to 5 thing.
Yeah, and all the people that had to work so hard just to bring that to life, like the Sherman Brothers writing those classic songs.
Yeah.
You know.
And the supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I love that song.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can say it backwards, just like Mary Poppins.
Nice.
Really. Well, I'm thinking about Mary Poppins. I think she need to be a little bit more sexier in her dress.
Oh, stop!
You know, maybe like a little short mini skirt.
What was it supposed to?
That would be the Mary Poppins that they made today.
Scott, wasn't it supposed to be like 1910? Remember George Banks says it's grand to be an Englishman in 1910.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So back then they had the full.
You think she could have been a little bit more?
Like one of those French girls.
She could have showed Bert a little leg.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my God, Mary!
I'm so sorry, people. You knew it
Betty
was,
White being.
If you're watching this, if you're listening to this podcast, you know that was coming.
Bert going, step in time.
Betty White pulls up her dress to show off a sock. Ain't that sexy?
I'm so sorry, people. Oh boy. Yeah.
But yeah, we would do the same thing if it was on ABC World of Disney. We would watch it every time.
Yeah, it's really good.
And my favorite song thing was "Let's Go Fly a Kite." So I just
right.
Yeah.
Because I think that was probably the part where everything was all happy. And everything was going to be all right.
I never did see a chimney sweep when I looked up the chimneys at houses.
Scott was looking for the chimney sweeps at the fireplace.
Santa Claus, the chimney sweeps, and never did see the sucker.
Any movie Scott would watch, it was believable to him as a kid. He had to do it, be a part of it.
I did once do that, and it was after seeing Popeye. I asked my mom to buy a can of spinach,
Been there.
and she kept saying, "You're not gonna like it." I'm gonna like it.
Sounds familiar.
And I'm gonna be strong like Popeye. And I took a fork and I put it in my mouth and chewed it, and I puked everywhere.
Scott did the exact same thing. That's crazy.
I could never get that can when I was squeezing a can to pop like Popeye.
Goodness.
I mean, I like spinach now.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, what in the hell? Popeye eats this crap?
And, as the little sister, I'm looking at him going, this is stupid.
I was always trying some bull. I'd see a movie and I'd get so focused on it. I mean, I'd go to the library at school and just start researching as much as I could, on that subject.
That's cool.
Okay, so shall we start going into...
Yeah, we can talk about Saving Mr. Banks.
So Saving Mr. Banks, that came out in 2013, I believe.
Yes.
I believe it's one of the most underrated movies.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely.
I think people got it in their head, I don't want to see the making of Mary Poppins. But it's really a lot more than that. And I can watch it over and over and over, and I literally have tears rolling down my face when I watch it.
Yeah, it was very emotional movie.
It's an emotional movie, and it's a story of P.L. Travers, who wrote Mary Poppins, her quest to, Disney, like Scott said, 20 years have been trying to get the rights to this movie, and it's about that, but it flashes back to her childhood.
Oh, okay.
And you can see why things happen in the movie the way that they happen or why they didn't. Mm-hmm. But Emma Thompson plays P.L. Travers, phenomenal in the role.
Yeah, I love her.
Colin Farrell played...
Probably one of Colin Farrell's best performances in a film.
Yes. Colin Farrell plays her father.
I mean, it just tears you
apart.
apart.
My gosh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks plays Walt Disney. There's Kathy Baker. She played Disney's secretary.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy from The Office that played Ryan.
B.J. Novick.
B.J. I will say in that movie, he is the one that I didn't think fit very good in that movie. If I had to pick one thing I didn't care for, I don't know.
Who would you replace?
I don't know, but
I thought he was okay.
I just thought he looked strange, and I don't know. For some reason.
Well, and then him and B.J. Novak and Jason Schwartzman played the Sherman brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big Jason Schwartzman fan. What? No, I never have been.
Oh my god!
But he.
How dare you?
Yeah, I know. But they were very good as.
They were. I would say that was my
maybe because
least.
you watched him in The Office.
I think that might have been what it was, but you know what? I've watched Tom Hanks in so many other movies, and he was great.
That's Tom Hanks.
That's true.
And then Paul Giamatti plays the driver. He drives
her chauffeur
around, and she's real cold and kind of snippy at him. You know, rich snippy and blah blah. But they become pretty good friends as they get to know each other and stuff.
She tells him in the movie, "You're the only American I've ever liked."
Yeah.
And he says, "May I ask why?" And she said, "No."
Yeah. Very, very good performance by him.
Yeah.
You know, very subdued kind of, you know.
So what it does is it.
Well, let me ask you this: P.L. Travers.
Mm-hmm.
Was she a famous author before she wrote Mary Poppins, or did she just write Mary Poppins and that was it?
Well, she was a writer, but I think Mary Poppins was the one.
The first novel.
The one that really.
Novel. And see, one of the reasons why it took Disney 20 years to do it, because she was hurting for money at the time, and she you know, Disney had offered her $10,000 back in the 40s, like 1944, to do this, and she turned him down. Well, as later on in the 60s, she got kind of on bad times and stuff. But this time, when she finally decided she wanted $750,000 for the rights, and Disney paid it. You know, he paid it. You know,
the movie.
Was that why she finally decided to give it up, because she needed money?
She needed money.
Well, that and she did it for the money, but she did it, I think, for herself too, to let it go. So
no, I don't know about that, because she was very.
Well, if you remember right,
she's very resistant to letting that go.
But if you remember in Saving Mr. Banks, when she signs the rights, she just says enough.
Well, yeah.
So she had. Her real name was Helen Goff.
Right.
And it shows her family. They were from Australia.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
And they moved from one part of Australia to another, a long way away, I think it was, on the other side or whatever. And she just adored her father. She was so close to her father. Her father was fun. He was very imaginative. He called her a nickname of Genty. He called her Princess Genty. And they just had such a bond, her and her father.
Him in the movie?
Colin Farrell
plays the dad.
Oh, wow.
And he was amazing. Amazing.
And the mother was more kind of down to earth and stuff, but he was like more imaginative and fun and all this stuff. But what you come to find out is he's got some demons in him. He's an alcoholic.
He's an alcoholic.
And he's hiding the fact. And I think he keeps getting fired from jobs.
He keeps getting fired from jobs.
Alcohol.
And so they move to this.
But he tries to hide it from his children.
From the kids. And he loved the kids. But Genty, it was his first daughter. And they move into this farm-like house, and the movie goes back and forth to things, and P.L. Travers she named her name, so her father's name was Travers Goff, so she took the name P.L. Travers. She took his name, is why,
and used it as her writing.
As her writing name. That's how much she loved her father.
Right.
And throughout the movie, when it shows her, she's at rehearsals for all this Mary Poppins stuff, and she has everything on tape, and she wants everything her way, and she's looking at the illustrations of the scenes of Mary Poppins. She's like, no, goodness, no, this ain't right, and she's very, prickly and argumentative with the Sherman
Kind of
brothers.
bitchy.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
very much so.
but then it'll flash back to something with her childhood, and you're like,
Yeah,
that's why she thinks that way. It all ties in.
Ties in like that.
Gosh, it's just beautifully written, and it's amazing. And
then she, as Colin Farrell is having trouble being an alcoholic, the mother tries to commit suicide. She starts to walk out into she starts to walk out in the water and drown herself
in a river.
And she goes out and kind of saves her and yells at her mom and snaps her out of it.
Yeah,
and she's a kid. I mean, how old is she? Like 7 or 8?
10,
maybe
10. But so the Sherman brothers, this one scene is just gut wrenching. Is spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. The Sherman brothers are starting to sing the song from Mary Poppins at the bank, about the Toppins at the bank, and she flashes back to her dad was the manager of a bank, and he was presenting, all this stuff to they were at this fair, and he was drunk, and he falls off the stage, hurts himself. He's coughing up blood, so his alcoholism has affected him, and she loses it in front of the Sherman brothers, and it's like, and she's looking at illustrations of Mr. Banks from Mary Poppins, and it's honing in on it, and she's seeing her father, and she starts yelling at them.
You've made him.
She's like,
made him evil, or you made him.
She's like, mean. I don't understand why Father, Mr. Banks and Mary Poppins, is so incredibly cruel. She's like, you guys have children. Why would Father tear up their advertisement? Why can't he be kind to his children? Why have you made him so unspeakably awful?
Hey, bring it down.
And she just freaks out. Shut up.
I mean, what are you
going
for an Academy Award?
It's so sad.
Yeah.
It is so sad.
Wow.
And it makes you cry, because, and they're just looking at her like, what? It's just Mr. Banks is a character, but she sees it's her father.
It's her father.
It's her father.
You know what? I always thought that the money was Toppins in there, but it's not Toppins like Mary Poppins. It's like
Tuppence.
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 Yeah, duh.
I always called it Toppins.
It's Tuppence.
I thought it was Toppins.
Oh my god.
And that means like 2 pennies. But I always thought it was like Toppins. Oh, Mary Poppins bringing her
like
Toppins.
Salami or something.
No, I just thought I never.
But what's so crazy is in the first of the movie when she arrives in Los Angeles and she's in her hotel, they have like a fruit basket on the table, and you can see her face and she sees pears.
Pears. Oh, she has a
and
fit.
she throws them in the swimming pool from the hotel. She's like, no, absolutely no pears. And you're like, this chick's nuts. But when her father is dying in the bed, she said, I got some Tuppence fathers or something, and he said, get me pears. So she went and got pears.
And she's bringing them back.
He'd already died. And she dropped the pears.
But
oh my God.
We're forgetting when he gets into bed and he's dying, of course.
Yes,
her aunt comes. Her mom's sister comes to help.
Let me guess. The aunt comes in and tells them all about Return of the Jedi.
No.
Her aunt
comes and she's kind of models the character of Mary Poppins after her aunt.
Okay. She's
like got the umbrella type thing with the little, what is that, a duck's face or whatever?
A parrot.
As a duck, parrot, whatever.
And the aunt tells them that there's jobs to be done. She says, spit spot.
Yeah,
she has the carpet bag.
She said, I'm here to fix things, Of course, when the father dies, the little girl blares. She said, I thought you were going to fix everything. She couldn't save the dad.
Yeah, it was so, oh my gosh. The movie
I gotta definitely watch this.
The movie is so intense. And then...
The one scene that, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the one that got me is when she finally, because she's resistant to the Sherman brothers all through, she's bitching about everything, but when they start to do Let's Go Fly a Kite, she gets into and she finally gets up and starts dancing with them, and it's very emotional.
Well, that comes after she blows up on him about Mr. Banks.
Right.
Walt Disney makes her come to Disneyland, and she's pissed. She doesn't.
She didn't want to go to
She's
Disney.
like, I don't want to go to your dollar printing machine, And so he takes her to Disneyland, forces her to get on a horse, and tells her, I think the boys have come up with something for Mr. Banks that you're gonna like.
Mm-hmm.
Which the next scene is. They go through the whole scene of let's go fly a kite, and she's moving her feet, and it's so emotional.
Yeah, it's very good. Secretary goes running into what? She's dancing, and he's like, what?
But
go ahead.
Yeah, but it was emotional. It was emotional because
very much
we
so.
finally see a part of her that's broke through. I love this part of the movie.
Wait, a question. So you said at first she didn't want any animation in the movie?
So
Right.
that's what happened after this. They started working on the Jolly Holiday scene, and she asked the Sherman Brothers, she's like, how are they going to get penguins to dance? Can you train penguins to dance? And one of the Sherman Brothers like, they're animated. And she's like, what? She's like,
She didn't want no cartoons.
Yeah.
No cartoons.
She storms into Disney's office.
She wanted it to be more realistic.
Storms in Disney's office and calls him a cheat, sneak and all this stuff. And she gets pissed. She throws him the paper where she was supposed to sign for the rights. She goes back to London. She's done because they messed up her movie.
And Disney's so frustrated. And finally, he gets on a plane and goes to London. She doesn't know he's coming there. He goes to London, shows up at her flat, and he says, I could use some tea. And the scenes between Tom Hanks talking to her about her life
and his life.
Oh man,
that is.
I mean, it is. You're really crying, dude.
You're crying.
I mean, Tom Hanks.
Damn.
Yeah, Tom Hanks. That scene where he's talking to her, getting and explaining things to her. Oh man, I can get emotional just talking about it.
He tells her, "I wanted this to be a fun experience for you," and he asked her, "Have you ever been to Kansas City?" And she's like, "No, I haven't." He said, "The winters are rough," and so Disney starts opening up to her about his childhood. And he asked her because he saw the plane tickets, the invoices for when she was there, and he was like, Ellen Goff, who's that? And he does a little research and finds out, and
he says she needs to stop running.
He needs to stop. Yeah, the scene is.
He talks about forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Oh,
and she said,
dude.
"I don't need to forgive my father. He was a wonderful man." And he
said, "No,
said,
you need to forgive yourself."
Yeah. Oh,
Were they nominated for any of this?
I don't think so. And that's my
been.
point. Is this movie is so underrated because I think a lot of people just I don't want to see the making of Mary Poppins. That's really more than that.
But even the trailer was like, I mean, you're like, yeah.
And that's sad because it's one of my favorite movies ever.
Wow.
And then
nominated for British Academy and Film Awards, but I think that it's only Best Music for 2014 was the only Academy Award.
My favorite scene is
Who's the director?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I'll look it up.
My favorite scene in the movie is one of my favorites is she finally gives in, signs over the rights. A couple of years later, whenever it was, they were doing the premiere of Mary Poppins in Los Angeles, and they recreate that whole premiere. They recreate the whole thing, and Disney didn't invite her to the premiere. And her agent comes to her place in London, and he's like, Mary Poppins would never stand for that. So she gets on a plane, goes to Disney, and she's like, I'm here for my premiere. So she goes, and she has that relationship with her driver 2 years prior. The same driver picks her up, and she's so happy. But so they all get into the movie theater. They're watching Mary Poppins, and the scene where Mr. Banks is getting ready to go to the bank and get fired, and the music's sad.
She's just bawling.
And it shows you, she's flashing back to her father dying, and her father having all the trouble, and she's just starts
and Tom Hanks
wailing.
Tom Hanks leans over and puts his hand on her shoulder.
He's like, it's okay.
She's going to be okay.
He said Mr. Banks is going to be okay, but she's just hysterically crying, and I bawl my head off.
The director's name is John Lee Hancock. Is the director.
Boom, boom, boom.
Every time I see that scene,
yeah, I'm gonna start crying just thinking about that.
Man, it's horrible.
What else has he directed?
The Highwayman with Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson.
Oh, okay.
The Founder with Michael Keaton. The Blind Side. The Rookie. The Alamo. The remake of The Alamo.
Wow.
So he's directed.
He knows how to make some movies.
Yeah,
if you have not seen Saving Mr. Banks, you are missing out on a great
it would
cinematic.
Can you look up and see if it's streaming anywhere?
It's streaming on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I do know that.
I think families should watch this with their children.
Yeah.
You know, especially if they are like, I would say, 10 years old or older. I mean, just to. I mean, it's a good family film, or it could be a good date night film too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It's
kinky.
It's amazing.
Yeah, you show the girl that you're sensitive.
Don't get on. Let her get a supersized meal.
I can watch this.
The birds.
That's a different one.
I know.
That's another podcast.
That's true.
Amazing.
But you convinced me to.
You've got to.
To watch
You've
it.
got to.
It's definitely, like I said, Colin Farrell.
Oh my gosh!
I've always
so
liked
good.
Colin Farrell.
I do too.
I always thought he was a solid actor.
Yeah, he just gets crappy roles sometimes.
Yeah, but
in the Penguin, if you guys haven't watched the Penguin,
no, I haven't seen
gotta
that.
watch the Penguin.
But this role for me, watching him do this role, I was really impressed with him. I
was too.
I thought he was just magnificent in this. I mean, he doesn't go into grand monologues or anything like that, but just the relationship with him and his daughter in this thing is just phenomenal.
And he plays the father who's just struggling internally.
And you love him as you're watching him.
Yeah.
You love this guy, and then you hate to see what's happening to him because you can see what he's doing. He's so disillusioned with life. Being bogged down because he worked at a bank.
He was the bank man. That's where George Banks
comes from.
Wow.
He was worked at a bank, and he told her, don't let them get to you. What was her name? The nickname?
Ginty.
Ginty. Don't let them get to you, Ginty. Be creative. Be yourself. Be
imaginative.
Be imaginative. Embrace life. Take it all in.
He tells her not to buy into money.
Yeah, not to buy into money. That's one of the
reasons
reasons she was resistant to the Disney thing too.
Makes sense.
And then there's another scene that we forgot to talk about. I think we should mention the driver, Paul Giamatti's character.
Yes.
Awesome actor.
Yes.
She never really got to know him a little bit, and there was one scene where she's sitting on the grass, doing some stuff in the grass, making some kind of little thing.
After she blew up about Mr.
After
Banks.
she blew up about Mr. Banks. He goes over and sits with her down, and he reveals to her that he has a handicapped daughter that loves her books, and she's in a wheelchair.
And her name is Jane.
And her name, is that where that came from?
I think so.
Because I was wondering about that. But she had already written the book,
That's true. I don't know.
But when he said Jane, that's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah.
But later on, when she's getting ready to leave, I think before Tom Hanks goes to her, wasn't it?
Yeah, when she gets mad and leaves.
She gets mad, so she goes up to him and says, "You tell your daughter."
She gives him a list of names.
A list of names.
She gives him a list of names. Albert Einstein.
Oh yeah, she said
different famous people
that have had
difficulties.
And she said, "You tell your daughter she can do and be anything she wants to be."
And his face.
His face is just like. It's
emotional.
so touching.
I gotta be in the mood to watch this.
Yeah.
It's
It's a very great movie.
I can watch it over and over and
over. I suggest if you haven't seen that movie, put it. And I had seen it. I had to rewatch it because I had only seen it once before. And as I was rewatching this, I thought, my God, this is such a great film. I think eventually it will go down as a classic film.
Yeah.
It should.
It should.
Yeah.
It's something that you can watch.
Go buy if it comes out on 4K, go buy it, watch all the behind the scenes things, because it's just a wonderful, great, wholesome film.
Wholesome.
Yeah.
But it also shows you, as adults, your choices and the things that you do, how it affects your child, you know,
Right.
and throughout the rest of their lives, like it did her,
Right.
you know, and the love of a father and a daughter, or a parent and a child.
The one thing I thought she should have had a little bit of mini skirt on at one point in the thing. Emma Thompson, she's got some nice legs.
I did notice in the movie she had really beautiful feet.
Yeah.
You remember when she got off the bed?
Hey,
Oh my god.
She had really pretty feet.
See if she's got an OnlyFans. And with that,
Emma Thompson's always been a great actress.
Oh, gosh,
she was
yeah.
married to Kenneth Branagh
Yeah.
for years, you know.
That's
That's
that
right.
movie that she did that Dad.
Yeah, Dead Again.
Dead
You ever
Again.
see that? Dead Again?
Terrible.
Oh my dad.
Oh my God.
We
This is off topic.
This is off topic.
But we've got to share this.
We had to explain that shit to him over and over
We
and
played-
over, and he said, "Is that guy dead?" He's dead." He couldn't get
No,
it.
the problem was Dad was watching the movie and he kept falling asleep.
Yeah, then he'd wake up.
And then he'd
"What
wake
the hell?"
up. Is he dead? What's going on?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Scott would yell
the
at
two
him.
go and go again.
Yeah,
Scott
yeah.
would yell at him, if you would stay awake, you'd know.
Oh, before we get off here, there's one thing I want to say.
Oh god.
I figured out how I messed up on Raiders the last episode.
What's that?
Okay, when Dr. Jones takes the when he takes the truck and he goes into the fruit stand and hides it, and the guy throws the fruit and stuff, they ended up taking the ark to the submarine guy, the black guy,
Oh.
the black guy,
Yeah.
and then the Nazis take over that ship, board it, steal the ark, and that's why Jones swims over and gets onto the Nazi
because
submarine.
the ark is on there.
Right, that's where that goes. Remember, I got it kind of back and forth and stuff.
That's
But
really
I-
going to help the people that.
Well, I
haven't
just
heard-
wanted it's been bugging me ever since I filmed that. So that's what happens, you know. I got to thinking about how did I confuse myself with that?
And don't forget to feed the birds. Tuppence a bag.
Yeah.
Hey, Divine.
No, wrong
Oh,
movie.
damn it. Sorry.
And go fly a kite with your
That's
family.
right.
Yeah, if you
That was my
but
favorite
definitely go see. I think you should buy Saving Mr. Banks, but
It's,
So,
it's on Disney Plus. You can watch if you have Disney Plus. You can watch
Yeah,
it.
and after you watch it, if you haven't seen it before, like me, comment down below and tell us if you liked it. I mean, because I remember it came out and, like you said, nobody went and saw it. Didn't get any love with any nominations hardly, and
listen, you people need to start liking and subscribing.
that's right.
You know, I
Or add a comment.
I've been commenting on your podcast.
This is a great episode. You need to subscribe.
Yeah.
No, if you have any comments, complaints,
Just know Mom,
Suggestions.
suggestions,
Yeah.
make sure to email us at spitballcinema@gmail.com.
and just know, Scott, our mom subscribes so she can get all of your podcasts now.
Oh.
So you might be getting some comments.
Oh boy.
Oh.
My baby boy did what?
Yeah.
With that girl?
Like
What?
a Christmas story. What?
Yeah. All right.
Well, we love you guys. Thank you again for listening.
Thanks for having me.
And Stacy, we couldn't do this without you.